Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from our IT Visualizer channel. We will continue our lab, the Matrix Labs, the video number 13. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have been working on creating a new virtual machine on VM Workstation Pro 17.5, the latest VM Workstation Pro version, that the one that I'm currently working on, and I think there is no new update for this product. So we have created a new virtual machine. We have installed on it Windows 10 LTSC 2021 Enterprise Edition because we are preparing this machine to join the domain and to test all of our different group policies, or our most famous 7 group policies that are applied in any multinational organization. We have discussed these 7 group policies, so we need to test it on a workstation, not on our server. We have seen these group policies apply to the server, but I need it to be tested on a workstation. We need to see different group policies. For example, the advanced users group policy that will open USB and DVD, and the restricted or limited group policies that will limit the users for accessing the USB and DVD, and a lot of things. Actually, we need to test and see the DHCP if it is working or not, and it's giving IP addresses to the machines or the workstation or not, if the machine will access the internet. So a lot of things. We need to have a workstation to test our domain environment in general. And also in the previous video, we have created a third or another virtual machine which will act as WSUS. We need to install or have a virtual machine and install on it Windows Server vnext 2025, and install on it the WSUS Server Role feature to make it a central location for pushing the different updates for the different Microsoft products. We need to do that and to test it also on our workstation that contains Windows 10. So we need to do that. We have stopped the last time at finishing the client or the workstation that we have installed on it, the operating system Windows 10. So today we will uh, install Windows Server vnext 2025 and install on it WSUS server role. So before going and doing that, we need to see the best practices when we are creating the WSUS server. What is the best practices from the different AI tools? And again, yesterday there was an important update for ChatGPT. It was updated or upgraded from ChatGPT 4 to ChatGPT 4.0, which is, as they have promoted, or they have or the videos that I am seeing, that it is more advanced and contains a lot of useful features. You can all go and see what these features are. And actually what I will do, I have all of the answers from the AI tools. The one concerning ChatGPT, it was generated by ChatGPT 4. So I will try to see today the same question, ask it to ChatGPT 4.0 to see if there is a difference between ChatGPT 4 and ChatGPT 4.0. So let's see the different answers, and the question is like that. What are the best practices for creating a WSUS server in a domain or a Windows domain environment? This is the answer of ChatGPT 4. Let's see the answer of ChatGPT 4.
Creating a Windows Server Update Services WSUS server in a Windows domain environment involves several best practices. Dedicated server. Use a dedicated server for WSUS to avoid performance issues with other applications. Network configuration. Ensure the server has a reliable network connection and sufficient bandwidth, as WSUS can generate significant network traffic. Storage planning. Allocate ample disk space for updates. A WSUS server can require a lot of storage depending on the products and classifications selected. Choose updates wisely. Select only the updates needed for your environment to save bandwidth and storage. Client configuration. Use group policy or registry settings to configure client-side targeting and update policies. Maintenance. Regularly clean up the WSUS database and decline superseded updates to maintain WSUS server performance. Security. Implement HTTPS for WSUS synchronization and client communications to enhance security. Backup. Regularly back up the WSUS database and content to recover from failures without re-downloading all updates. By following these practices, you can ensure that your WSUS server operates efficiently and maintains your network's security and compliance. View. ChatGPT.
So as we can see, this is the answer of ChatGPT 4. Let's see the answer of the newly upgraded version of ChatGPT, which is ChatGPT 4.0. Let's see the answer. It seems to be more detailed and contains a lot of things that ChatGPT 4 didn't say. So let me uh, read it loudly for you.
Creating a Windows Server Update Services WS server in a Windows domain environment requires careful planning and execution to ensure efficient and secure updates management. Here are some best practices. 1. Planning and preparation. Understand your environment. Assess the number of clients and servers that will use WSUS, and understand the network topology. Determine server requirements. Ensure the server meets the hardware and software requirements for WSUS. Consider factors like disk space, memory, and CPU. Decide on WSUS deployment topology. Choose between a single WSUS server, a distributed model with multiple WSUS servers, or a hierarchical model with upstream and downstream servers. 2. Server installation and configuration. Install prerequisites. Install necessary components such as .NET Framework and IIS before installing WSUS. Choose the right database. Decide whether to use the Windows internal database UID or an external SQL server. For larger environments, an external SQL server is recommended. Install WSUS. Use the Server Manager or PowerShell to install the WSUS role. Configure WSUS. During the WSUS post-installation configuration, specify the update languages, products, and classifications. 3. Storage and performance optimization. Disk space management. Allocate sufficient disk space for the WSUS content and database. Regularly monitor and manage disk usage. Move WSUS content. If needed, move the WSUS content to a different drive to improve performance and storage management. Use Cleanup Wizard. Periodically run the WSUS Cleanup Wizard to remove unnecessary updates and optimize the database. 4. Security and maintenance. Secure the WSUS server. Apply security best practices such as using SSL for WSUS communications, regularly patching the WSUS server, and restricting access to the WSUS console. Regularly back up the WSUS database and the update content to prevent data loss. Monitor WSUS. Use monitoring tools to track WSUS performance and health. Configure alerts for critical issues. 5. Client configuration, group policy configuration. Use group policy to configure client update settings, such as specifying the WSUS server, automatic update settings, and update installation schedules. Client targeting. Use client-side or server-side targeting to organize clients into groups for easier management. 6. Maintenance and troubleshooting. Regular maintenance. Perform regular maintenance tasks such as database cleanup, reindexing, and defragmentation to ensure optimal performance. Troubleshooting tools. Familiarize yourself with W's troubleshooting tools and logs to quickly diagnose and resolve issues. 7. Reporting and compliance. Use WSUS reports. Generate and review WSUS reports to track update status and compliance across the network. Compliance audits. Conduct regular audits to ensure all systems are up to date and compliant with organizational policies. Example setup steps. 1. Install WSUS prerequisites. PowerShell install Windows feature to name Update Services DB, Update Services RSAT, Update Services UI. 2. Post-installation configuration. PowerShell and C, Program Files Update Services, Tools WSUSutil.exe, post-install content.drd.wsus. 3. Configure group policy for clients. Open Group Policy Management Console, GPMC. Create a new GPO and link it to the desired organizational unit, OU. Navigate to Computer Configuration, Administrative Templates, Windows Components, Windows Update. Configure settings such as specify Intranet Microsoft Update Service Location, configure automatic updates, and enable client-side targeting. By following these best practices, you can ensure a reliable and efficient WSUS deployment in your Windows domain environment.
Very, very good answer and very, very detailed one. Okay, it's discussing the theoretical concepts or some advices on how to uh, install and configure WSUS. Is giving you the uh, some theoretical or some advices, not technical advices, or let's see, not technical steps. It's first, it is describing how you can configure and maintain the WSUS in some steps, okay, and then it goes directly to the technical steps on how to do that. So very, very good answer, not like the ChatGPT 4. So this is less in content, and it does not give you the technical steps to implement some of these recommendations. So this word ChatGPT 4, this is ChatGPT 4.0. Let's go to Perplexity, which is giving a more detailed answer, and we can see here that because it gets from or it is a search engine that depends on AI, so it's getting its source of information from a lot of sources. So let's see what is the answer of Perplexity, and then we'll see Rika, another AI that I was recently using, and let's see if there is anything to add. Just a moment.
Creating a Windows Server Update Services WSUS server in a Windows domain environment involves several best practices to ensure a secure, efficient, and scalable setup. Here are the key steps and considerations. Planning and preparation. Determine the scope of the WSUS server, including the number of clients it will manage and the types of updates it will provide. Plan the WSUS server's network settings, including IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and DNS server addresses. Ensure the server's hardware and software meet the necessary requirements for the expected workload. Server configuration. Install the Windows Server operating system and ensure it is up to date with the latest security patches and updates. Configure the server's network settings, including IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and DNS server addresses. Set the server's time zone and date to match the domain's time zone and date. WSUS configuration. Install the WSUS role on the server and configure it according to the server's needs. Set the WSUS server's update settings, including the update schedule, update detection frequency, and update deployment options. Configure the WSUS server's reporting and monitoring settings to track update deployment and client status. Client configuration. Configure the WSUS clients to connect to the WSUS server and download updates. Set the WSUS client's update settings, including the update schedule, update detection frequency, and update deployment options. Configure the WSUS client's reporting and monitoring settings to track update deployment and client status. Security considerations. Implement strong authentication and authorization mechanisms, such as Active Directory and Kerberos, to ensure secure access to the WSUS server. Use firewalls and intrusion detection systems to monitor and block unauthorized network traffic. Regularly back up the WSUS server's data to prevent data loss in case of a disaster. Performance optimization. Configure the WSUS server's disk subsystem to optimize performance, such as by using RAID and aligning disk partitions. Adjust the WSUS server's power plan to optimize performance and reduce energy consumption. Consider using SMB Direct and RDMA for improved network performance. Monitoring and maintenance. Monitor the WSUS server's performance and disk usage to identify potential issues before they become critical. Regularly update the WSUS server's software and firmware to ensure it remains secure and up to date. Perform regular maintenance tasks, such as disk cleanup and disk defragmentation, to maintain the WSUS server's performance. Best practices for specific scenarios. For large-scale WSUS deployments, consider using data replication and redundancy to ensure data availability and integrity. For WSUS servers with sensitive data, consider using encryption and access controls to protect the data. For WSUS servers with a high workload, consider using load balancing and clustering to improve performance and availability. By following these best practices, you can create a secure, efficient, and scalable WSUS server in a Windows domain environment that meets the needs of your organization.
So as we can see here, the answer is maybe more than ChatGPT 4 or ChatGPT 4.0, but it doesn't contain any technical steps. So for example, if I need to monitor and maintenance, what are the technical steps to do that? It's not giving me the way to do that, but you can ask Perplexity about the technical steps or provide the technical steps to do step 7, for example. But anyway, this also broad our vision about what to take into consideration when we are installing and configuring the WSUS server. So we have 3 answers until now: ChatGPT 4, ChatGPT 4.0, Perplexity, and let's see Rika, which is another AI tool. I think it's a good one, not as good as other AI tools, but for me it is simple and it's free. So let's see the answer of Rika. Just a moment.
Creating a Windows Server Update Services WSUS server in a Windows domain environment is a strategic move for managing updates across your organization efficiently and securely. Here are the best practices to consider when setting up and maintaining your WSUS server. 1. Planning and design. Assess your environment. Understand the number of clients, types of operating systems, and applications to plan the WSUS server capacity and bandwidth requirements. Choose a suitable WSUS server location. Place the WSUS server in a domain-joined environment, ideally on a server that is not a domain controller (DC), to avoid performance impacts. Define update groups. Create update groups based on criteria like department, server roles, or application types to manage updates more granularly. 2. Installation and configuration. Install WSUS on a supported OS. Ensure the WSUS server is running on a supported version of Windows Server. Use a supported database. WSUS supports SQL Server, including Express editions, for storing update metadata and status. Install WSUS through Server Manager or PowerShell. Follow Microsoft's official guidance for installation, including any prerequisites. Configure update source and sync schedule. Set up WSUS to synchronize updates from Microsoft Update and define a schedule that suits your needs. 3. Approval and deployment. Set up approval groups. Assign administrators to approval groups to manage the approval process for updates within their areas of responsibility. Create custom update categories. Customize categories to organize updates and simplify the approval process. Deploy updates in stages. Use SUSE's feature to deploy updates first to a small group of test machines before rolling them out to the entire organization. Monitor update status. Regularly check the update status to ensure that deployments are proceeding as expected and address any issues promptly. 4. Maintenance and security. Regularly update WSUS. Keep the WSUS server itself up to date with the latest patches and hotfixes. Configure automatic cleanup. Set up automatic cleanup options to manage the storage of updates on the WSUS server, preventing it from becoming overloaded. Secure WSUS. Implement security best practices, including configuring firewalls, setting up SSL/TLS for web access, and regularly reviewing access controls and permissions. Backup WSUS configuration. Regularly backup the WSUS configuration to facilitate recovery in case of issues. 5. User education and support. Communicate update policies. Clearly communicate update policies and schedules to end users to ensure they understand the importance of keeping their systems up to date. Provide support. Be prepared to support end users who may experience issues related to updates, including troubleshooting and rollback procedures. By following these best practices, you can effectively implement WSUS in your Windows domain environment, ensuring that your systems remain secure and up to date with the latest Microsoft updates.
So we can see this contains, or every AI gives its recommendation, and it completes the other answer of the other AI tool. So we can now combine 4 AI recommendations, and we can benefit from all of these answers because some of the points are repeated between the AI tools and some are not repeated. Every AI gives a point that the other AI tool doesn't provide or doesn't list. Okay, so this is a good thing to have different AI tools recommendations. Okay, to see or to have a more broad vision about what we should do. Okay, so we have about now 4 answers of most of the AI tools. Okay, but let me first see the Claude 3 recommendation as well because I didn't see it. And then I will show you all. There is a couple of URLs. These are documents from Microsoft about best practices to install and configure WSUS. So let's see first what is the answer. Here we can go to this one and let me show you what is the answer of this or Claude 3. If we go further here, let's go again. Okay, this is okay. Here, let me go further. Okay, no, this is the common issues. Let's go to the best practices. Just a moment.
Creating a Windows Server Update Services WSUS server in a Windows domain environment is a crucial step in managing and deploying updates to client computers within the organization. Here are some best practices to follow when setting up a WSUS server. Plan the WSUS server role. Determine the number of client computers that will be managed by the WSUS server, as well as the required storage space for updates and metadata. This will help you choose the appropriate hardware and configuration for the WSUS server. Install the WSUS server role. On a dedicated Windows Server machine, install the WSUS server role through the Server Manager or by running the Install Windows Feature Update Services, Include Management Tools PowerShell command. Configure WSUS server settings. During the WSUS server configuration process, choose the appropriate update source, Microsoft Update or a local source, products and classifications to synchronize, and sync schedule based on your organizational requirements. Integrate with Active Directory. If the WSUS server is a member of an Active Directory domain, configure the WSUS server to use authenticated pull and group policy settings for client computer targeting. Configure WSUS storage. Configure the WSUS server to use a dedicated disk or volume for storing updates and metadata. Enable the Server Cleanup Wizard to manage disk space usage and retention policies. Set up WSUS reporting. Configure WSUS reporting to generate reports on update compliance, missed updates, and update deployment status. This will help you monitor and manage the update process effectively. Implement WSUS failover. If you have multiple WSUS servers in your environment, configure WSUS failover to provide redundancy and high availability. This ensures that client computers can receive updates even if one of the WSUS servers fails. Configure WSUS client settings. Configure WSUS client settings through Group Policy Objects, GPOs, to specify the WSUS server location, update installation behavior, and other client-side settings. Test and approve updates. Before deploying updates to production environments, test and approve updates in a non-production environment to ensure compatibility and identify potential issues. Deploy updates. Use GPOs or third-party software deployment tools to deploy approved updates to client computers based on your deployment schedules and maintenance windows. Monitor and manage WSUS. Regularly monitor WSUS server performance, log files, and update synchronization to identify and resolve any issues. Use PowerShell scripts or third-party tools to automate WSUS management tasks. Secure the WSUS server. Configure WSUS server security by restricting unauthorized access, enabling SSL/TLS encryption for communication, and applying the latest security updates and patches. Backup and restore WSUS configuration. Regularly backup the WSUS server configuration, including update metadata and approved updates, to ensure that you can restore the server in case of a failure or disaster. Document the WSUS configuration. Maintain detailed documentation of the WSUS server configuration, update approval processes, deployment schedules, and any custom settings or scripts used. By following these best practices, you can ensure that your WSUS server is properly configured, secure, and manageable, allowing you to efficiently deploy updates to client computers within your Windows domain environment.
Very, very good answer. We can see, even though some steps are repeated between the AI tools, every one of them explain it in a unique way. So we can, if one AI answer is not understandable, we can go to the other AI tool and see another explanation with another way. So very, very good. We can see a lot of explanations. Let's go and see the official recommendations from Microsoft. We can see here, this is the URL, Windows Server Update Services Best Practices. So this is article was at I think this was in 12 this was in December 2023. So this is a newly updated one, even though it is updated from 1 year ago, but not 1 year. If you can see, it's about maybe now 6 months. If this is the month and this is the day, then this is about 6 months old. Anyway, let's see another thing or another AI tool that comes to the play, which is Copilot AI. We can see here asked him to summarize the best practices and see another additional information I didn't know actually. Let's see the answer, and after reading out loudly this answer, I will tell it to explain it in simple terms, because this seems to be more technical and some of the recommendations I don't understand fully. Let's see this answer.
Here's a detailed summary of the web page you're viewing. WSUS configuration and performance tips. Client support. WSUS can handle up to 100,000 clients per server, or 150,000 with Configuration Manager. However, it's advised not to approach these limits. Server configuration. Use 2 to 4 servers with a shared SQL Server database for better reliability and performance. Avoiding scan storms. Shared databases prevent scan storms, which occur when many clients switch WSUS servers without a shared database, leading to full scans and heavy metadata transfers. Configuration Manager versus automatic updates. Configuration Manager client scans demand more from WSUS than standalone updates because they check for all updates except those declined. Memory and performance. WSUS is memory intensive and can cause the IIS application pool, WSUS pool, to recycle, clearing the cache. To mitigate this, increase the default queue length and disable memory limits. Express encoding. This compression method saves bandwidth on update metadata. It can be enabled or disabled based on bandwidth and CPU considerations. Product and category selection. Choose only necessary products and categories in WSUS to reduce metadata size and server overhead. Declining updates. Use scripts to decline unnecessary updates, like those for Itanium architecture or labeled as preview or beta. SSL configuration. Secure WSUS client communication with SSL using the correct certificate and group policy settings. Update rollups and cumulative updates. Understand the difference between monthly rollups and cumulative updates for Windows OS updates and the update synchronization process in WSUS. PowerShell and SUSE API. The article provides a PowerShell script example for interacting with the SUSE API. The article emphasizes the importance of proper WSUS configuration and maintenance to ensure optimal performance and reliability. It also highlights the need for careful selection of updates and the use of SSL to secure communications.
So you can see also some very useful information and how to do all of these steps. This is only a summary. You can go to the URL and see the detailed steps on doing that. This contains screenshots and detailed technical steps. So let me ask it to simplify it a little bit. So if I ask him to explain in simple terms, let's see the answer. Just a moment.
Sure, here's a simpler explanation of the web page. WSUS is a system that helps manage updates for Microsoft products in a network. It can handle a lot of clients, computers needing updates, but it's best not to max out its limit. It's better to use 2 to 4 servers with a shared database for better performance and reliability. Using a shared database helps avoid scan storms, which are like traffic jams that happen when many clients switch servers at the same time. WSUS uses a lot of memory, which can cause issues. To fix this, you can increase the queue length and turn off memory limits. Express encoding is a way to save bandwidth when sending update details. You can turn it on or off depending on your needs. Be selective about the products and categories in WSUS. This helps reduce the size of the data and the load on the server. Use scripts to decline updates you don't need, like those for certain architectures or those labeled as preview or beta. Use SSL to make sure the communication between the WSUS client and server is secure. Understand the difference between monthly rollups and cumulative updates for Windows OS updates. You can use PowerShell and the SUSE API to interact with WSUS. In short, it's important to set up and maintain WSUS properly to make sure it works well and is secure. Be careful about which updates you choose and use SSL to keep communications safe.
Very, very good answer and explained. Again, there is a point here that need to be focused on. What is the monthly rollups and what is the cumulative updates? We can see here there is two kinds of updates. And if you know exactly what each type of update means or what does it or what is the importance of each one of them, you can decide which one you can decline or approve. Okay, so let's see here another question. What is the difference between the monthly roll-up updates and the cumulative updates? Let's see the answer here of also Copilot or Copilot AI. Let's see the answer.
Sure, let me explain it in simple terms. Monthly rollups. These are updates that Microsoft releases every month. They include fixes for various issues and improvements. However, a monthly rollup does not include the fixes from the previous months. So, if you missed a monthly rollup from a previous month, you would need to install it separately. Cumulative updates. These are also updates that Microsoft releases, but they are cumulative, meaning they include all previously released fixes. So, if you install a cumulative update, your Windows OS will be up to date with all the fixes that have been released up to that point. In short, the main difference is that monthly rollups do not include previous updates, while cumulative updates do. This means that with cumulative updates, you're always up to date with all the fixes.
So you can see here, this is very, very good explanation. And this is one of the URLs, this or the official documentation from Microsoft about Windows Server Update Services best practices. Another URL on how to perform WSUS database maintenance. We all know that when you are installing WSUS Server Role, it will ask you to create a database and link it to the WSUS. This database contains data that you will use to create reports about the status of the updates in your network, how much computers are updated, what are the missed updates, what are the different update names, the different products names that will be pushed by the WSUS. A lot of things, actually, all of these are stored in the database. The update numbers, their numbers or KBs, I think, or the number of updates. So these all are stored in a database, which is very, very important to backup and to maintain. So this is a couple of recommendations how to perform WSUS database maintenance. This WSUS database could be Windows internal database. This is a kind of databases that are small in size. Okay, it can reach up to 2 tera, as I remember. This is small, okay, if it is compared to SQL Express database or SQL databases. In small environments, Windows internal database for WSUS is enough and sufficient. But if you are in a larger environment, then you should use the SQL database, which have larger database capacity or database size. So let's see also another thing, or I asked the Edge Copilot to summarize the section of perform WSUS maintenance. Here, generate summarize for the section perform WSUS maintenance in this page. So let's see the summarization of this section. And also it contains technical steps. You can see it in this URL. Let's wait and see.
Certainly. Here's a summary for the Perform WSUS Maintenance section of the page. WSUS Maintenance for Configuration Manager. Monthly Maintenance. It's recommended to perform WSUS maintenance monthly to ensure optimal performance and client functionality. Automated Cleanup. For Configuration Manager current branch version 1906 or later, enable WSUS maintenance options to automate cleanup after each synchronization. Backup and reindexing. Despite automation, manual backup and reindexing of the WSUS database should be scheduled regularly. Key maintenance steps. Backup SUSDB. Use the desired method for backing up the WSUS database, SUSDB. Create indexes. If using Configuration Manager version 1906 or later, configure it to create indexes. For older versions or standalone WSUS, create custom indexes manually. Reindex SUSDB. Use the provided T-SQL script to reindex the WSUS database. Decline superseded updates. Decline superseded updates in WSUS to improve client scan efficiency. Use Configuration Manager or provided PowerShell script for this task. WSUS Server Cleanup Wizard. Cleanup options. The wizard provides options to clean up various items, but in a Configuration Manager environment, only certain options are relevant. Obsolete updates. Enabling specific options in Configuration Manager can handle the cleanup of obsolete updates and revisions. Automation and scheduling. Hierarchy considerations. When running cleanup in a hierarchy, start from the bottom up. For declining updates, go top down. Scheduling. Schedule tasks overnight to avoid conflicts with synchronization schedules. This section emphasizes the importance of regular WSUS maintenance and provides guidance on automating and scheduling these tasks to maintain a healthy Configuration Manager environment.
So even though it is related to Configuration Manager, but still these recommendations can work with a standalone WSUS. Okay, so you can see here, these are the screenshots. These are the scripts for indexing. I have used them before in one of my labs, that the Transformers lab. I have 6 videos in the Transformers lab for best practices for WSUS. I have combined a lot of recommendations and my work experience, consolidate it in 6 videos in the Transformers lab. Please go and see the 6 videos. And one of my sources for the WSUS best practice was this URL and this URL. Okay, so go and see it. So here, as we can see, there is a lot of information. Now we have a vision on how to install and configure WSUS and what are the best practices. We have used a lot of AI tools. So now we can rest assured that we have a lot of info on how to build our WSUS server. Let's see the practical size, practical side of this process, and it's very, very simple. It's not something we can worry about. This is very, very simple. You can go to the server manager and add the WSUS server role feature, and simply you can go the steps very straightforward. But first, let's go and configure first the operating system which the WSUS server will reside on. So now this is the second virtual machine. Now we can install the operating system. The interface is different. We have seen this before. This is different installation interface than the regular Windows Server or the default Windows Server that we have seen before in Windows Server 2016, 2019, 2022. We don't have a product key. We will activate the operating system later. We will choose data center which have more features than the standard one. One of the things that you can create more virtual machines in the Hyper-V in the data center edition, not the standard. So you can create more virtual machines in Hyper-V environment in the data center edition. So this is two hard disks. We will put one, we will have one partitioned at one partition, and this for the operating system, and the other will be for the data. The other hard disk will be partitioned as one partition, and it will be for the data for the WSUS server. Here we will put the updates, the database, a lot of things. So now we can see this is the percentage. Regular or normal setup process. Remember, we have a lot of crashes concerning this operating system. We have seen this is a Canary edition, so this is normal. Okay, this is a Purview edition, especially a Canary one. So we can expect to have some crashes or some unexpected errors. So you can see in installing process, the installation percentage, 62%. Now we can see the first crash. How to indicate or how to know that? Because the LED concerning the hard disk is not flashing, so we all know, or this, it is an indicator that the virtual machine is hanged. Okay, so can make a restart or power off as you wish. So you can power it off and then open it again or make a restart. This is an installation percentage, 94%. Now this is the product key. We will activate it later, and then we are prompted for the local administrator password, or this is the license agreement first, and then this is the local administrator password. We should have a complex password set. They say it should be 15 characters as far as I have read in the latest security standards, but here this is 8. I have 8 and this is a complex one. But anyway, the more characters you have in your local administrator password, the more secure it is. But even if you have it as a large password or one that contains a lot of characters, then it should be memorable, okay, or you can remember it easily. Sorry guys. Okay, so now we can go and continue. The first thing we need to do is to install the VMware tools, which I have missed. First, I have entered with the local administrator password. I have changed the server name because I need it to be WSUS SM01 because I have pre-staged this computer in the Active Directory on the domain controller. The first step is to install VMware tools to enhance the performance of the virtual machine and to install the device drivers for this virtual machine. We have seen in the previous video, it is very important to use the device drivers provided by the VMware tools for compatibility and uh, uh, compatibility issue, because most of these drivers work perfectly with the VMware virtual environment. So you can see this is diagnostic data, okay? This is security concern, sending diagnostic data to Microsoft, required only data to be sent, not all of the data should be sent. Now we have our server manager. We should do not show this message. This is the Windows Admin Center and the ARC. This is an option related to the Azure cloud servers. Now we can go to the local server and change the name of the server. Anyway, this should be after we install the VMware tools, okay? But anyway, we can change the name and put it as WSUS SM01. This is how we have created the computer object in the Active Directory. They should match. The name of the server should match the name of the computer in the Active Directory. Okay, so now we can make a restart. And again, we can tell him the server manager to do not start automatically on login. This will be activated automatically because I have set this in the default domain policy. So it will be applied to the WSUS server, the default domain policy, disable server manager from popping up automatically or to start automatically. Okay, so again, we have seen a crash here. We can make a restart and then we can continue. Okay, now we will go and install the VMware tools. We log in. So now we can install the VMware tools, and then after installing it, we will see that the display will be resized, okay, automatically. So now we can see the interface, which looks very similar to Windows 11, and some options actually was asked by experts or IT professionals to be provided in Windows Server uh, because it was introduced first in Windows 11, and they see it should be also included in the Windows Server editions. One of the most important features is the Windows Terminal, which is a very good option. Most of the IT professionals ask it to be included in the Windows Servers edition. Okay, you have the complete installation, then install. But actually, it's the new operating system is hardware resource eating. It should have or it should work with more RAM and more processor and more hard disk, okay, and actually also some security devices like TPM, okay. So it's not it does ask for a lot of hardware resources, okay, which was different in the previous Windows Server editions. Now we can see that the screen is flickering because the display card device driver is installed. Now we need to have a restart, and then we can continue working with or pre-configuring or preparing this server to join the domain. We need to change the name. We have done that. We need to set or put a static IP address to this server. We need to open a couple of options. We have done this before. We need to open another crash. We need to open the remote desktop option so we can access remotely this server using the remote desktop connection. Okay, we need to configure the time zone, which actually it will be configured using the default domain policy, but you can do this So before joining the server to domain, the time zone and the time itself should be the same as on the domain controller, so the joining the domain process will be simple. This is one of the best practices we have seen in one of the AI tools. You need to make sure that the time on your server before joining the domain is exactly as the time on the domain. Okay, so now we can see this is the server. We need to open server manager and then begin configuring the different setting. We need to go and change the time zone. We need to activate this Windows Server operating system. To activate it, all the license activation, we need to pin it to the taskbar. Then we go to the local server. We can open the remote desktop. This is the first thing to do. Then change the time zone. Okay, and remember to disable the Windows Defender firewall because it will do a lot of issues. Okay, so now we have allow remote connections to this computer. Now we need to change the time zone. And by the way, uh, the time will be synced once this server goes to the internet, because again before or we need to first do these settings, and then before joining this server to the domain we need to give it access to the internet and update the operating system and the antivirus. So another or one of the golden rules in any environment, before joining any workstation or server to the domain, make sure its operating system and antivirus is up to date. And one another thing also, golden rule, to make sure the time is synced correctly. So we can see here, for example, this is 9:31, so we can see this is not the correct time. So if I try to join this server to the domain, uh, there will not, it could fail because the time is not correct. Okay, so we need to make sure that the time is correct. Once this accesses the internet, it will sync the correct time. So again, a golden rule is to have your operating system up to date, your antivirus up to date, your time is up to date, or is synced, or it is the correct time. Time as figures or numbers, and the time zone. Okay, so now we can go and make next teaming. So now we have enable remote desktop. We can make a small refresh, and then we can make the next teaming, and then set the IP address on this machine. Azure Arc management is disabled because we don't have any Azure Azure servers. Okay, so now we can team them and make sure to have the load balancing option to address hash, because the default setting will not work. This is in a virtual environment. In a normal environment, normally this setting will work, but the load balancing mode should be in a VMware virtual environment, should be address hash. Okay, now we can press enter, and now it will take a couple of minutes until the teaming is done. And then after making the team or the teaming, we should set the IP address. Then the normal process of updating the operating system and updating the antivirus. Do not depend on the Windows Defender as an antivirus. It's not enough. You need to install a third party or a famous third party antivirus solution, like for example Trend Micro, like McAfee Enterprise, one of the famous third party antivirus products. Now we need to tweak the taskbar setting a little bit. Task view, we need to remove it, hide the search bar, we need to hide icons menu, we need all of the icons to be displayed, we need to have the taskbar to the left, or the Windows icon to the left. Okay, so you can see this is some tweaks to make the appearance of the operating system to be more familiarized, or to be more familiar. Okay, so now we have our team. We need to go and set the IP address on this server. And remember, we have an additional hard disk. We didn't partition this hard disk yet. So we go to the disk management, okay, and then we have the second hard disk. This is the second hard disk. We need to have drive letter D, but it was taken by the CD-ROM, so we will change this to E and give this partition the D drive letter. This should be done where there is no data on the partition. Okay, D, then we will put it as data, or name it as data, and then next, then finish. So we have our healthy partition. Now we can go and set the IP address. So we go to small icons view. I prefer this view, then network and sharing center. Then we need to go to the teaming connection properties. We can uncheck TCP IP protocol version 6 because this does some problems in the network and we don't need it. So now we can put static IP address. This will be 192.168.79.9. So this is 79.7, 79.8, then 79.9. They will put the default gateway to access the internet. Then the preferred DNS will be the default gateway because the default gateway has already DNS servers configured on it, and an alternative DNS will be Google DNS server. If this server joins the domain, then this DNS server addresses will be changed. The primary will be the IP address of the primary domain controller, and the alternative will be the IP address of the secondary domain controller. These two act as primary DNS and secondary DNS. Okay, so this should be the setup if we configure this or we join this server to domain. And both DNS servers have DNS forwards for forwarding external traffic to the internet. If you need to have resolving websites, this will forward traffics to external DNS servers. Okay, now we can see this. We are just making sure that we have access to the internet, and then what we need to do after that, we need to update the operating system in a very normal process and update the antivirus. Okay, and after finishing all of that, we should join this server to the domain. But first, we need to go to the setting and then update the antivirus. I think we go to the privacy and security, and then Windows security. We have done all of these settings with the additional and primary domain controller, and I have separated this server and not put it, or this server role is separated from other server role features because this is, as I said before, in the AI recommendations is saying that it takes extensive memory usage and storage usage, so this will do a lot of traffic on this server. I was intending to put this server role on this server, but this will do performance issues. Again, now we need to go and we have updated, or we have initiated an antivirus update. Now we need to go and update or to activate this Windows operating system. To activate this Windows operating system, this is the license key. It is provided by Microsoft. I have put this text file in Google Drive link. It will be displayed in the description of the video. Okay, so now we have our antivirus. It's still checking for update. Now we can go to the system, and then we can see it when Windows is not activated. Now we can tell him to change the product key and put the key, and then next, activate. It will take a little bit of time. Okay, close. It is activated. Now we can go and make Windows updates. The antivirus is still checking for update. We can go to the Windows updates, okay, or Windows update. We can see it's beginning downloading. We can see here this is an upgrade. I have currently 26040. This is the Windows Server per view build. Okay, there is another build, but actually I thought it will take a lot of download, or its download size is large, so I didn't download this update. You should do this because maybe it will fix some of the crashes that happens more frequently now. So just make sure to check if the size is large, because I thought it was large, so I didn't download or install it. So we can see it's downloading different updates. One of them is the cumulative updates, which was explained by ping, or let's not ping, H Copilot. You know, one thing I need to ask, what is the name, or because I think it's not ping here. What is your name? Okay, Microsoft Copilot AI. So you are Microsoft Copilot AI. Okay, then it is Microsoft Copilot AI. So you are not Edge Copilot AI, correct? Okay, so it's Microsoft Copilot. Then this is the correct answer. Okay, let's go and continue. So now we can individually choose to install which update and download which update, or you can tell him to download and install all. So now I need to install this update and then install the other updates and leave this update alone until I am sure its downloadable size or its download size is not large. Okay, so now we have installed this update, waiting for this update to be downloaded. And we can see here there is the Windows Defender antivirus update, so you can update it from the Windows update or from the antivirus update itself, as I should, or as I thought. Okay, do both, just to make sure. Okay, so we have updates. Now we can install the cumulative update. We have seen this. Now we can install and then also download and install. So okay, restart should be initiated. Now we are restarting. Again the crash, restart. Then you should initiate another Windows update because there is some updates still missing. Okay, because not all of the updates are downloaded from the first checking of updates. Okay, so now we can see, okay, updates are on the way. Okay, now we can go and continue. Now we can go further like that. Okay, now I have access with my domain, not sorry, access with the local administrator account. Then we can see this is the shutdown event tracker. The reason for the abnormal shutdown, it was an hang process. It will be recorded or reported to the event viewer. Now we can go and check for antivirus updates and Windows updates if there is. Can go to the antivirus and then virus and protection threats. Go to update, protection updates, check for updates. Now I will leave that. I will not continue, so I prefer to leave this update and not install it. Now, after updating the antivirus, and we have confirmed that we have the latest updates for the Windows operating system, we should change the DNS server addresses in the TCP IP or in the network connection setting, and prefer and open the primary domain controller so this server can join it. Okay, so what I'm doing currently here I am maybe giving it more RAM, or I will take some of this RAM and distribute it on other virtual machines. I think let's wait and see what I should do here. I'm taking a snapshot. Okay, so before uh, giving that or before joining it to the domain, I will take a snapshot, and actually I will take one of the processors, so I will not give it two processors. I will remove one processor, so because I don't have a lot of processing power. Okay, I have only four processors, four logical processors. Okay, before join domain, then should open the primary domain controller, but first we need to remove this processor, so it only be one processor. Okay, because I have four. Okay, so actually I need, or I can open three at the same time because I have only four processors. Okay, one for the host and three can be spared. Okay, okay, so now we can open edit, and then I think I will not change anything here. I need to open the primary domain controller and then prepare my WSUS server to join the domain. Okay, so I don't need the additional domain controller or DHCP or file server. I need only the primary domain controller. Okay, so we'll open it and then open the WSUS server and join this server to the domain. So in a very straightforward process. So now we have the primary domain controller. Now we will open the WSUS server and then join it to the domain. I think we can go further. Go put the local administrator account. Before that, we need to change the DNSs or DNS address, DNS server addresses. Okay, in the network connection properties. If you go further like that, I think there will be a crash. Maybe I think another crash will be initiated. Okay, here is, I think, let's wait and see. Okay, there is another crash. So you restart or just power off the virtual machine, not restart, power off and then power it back. Okay, now we can go put again the local administrator password, then again the shutdown event tracker. Okay, go there, okay, now we can go and open the, I think we have to get to the control panel. Okay, this is good. Control panel and then open the network setting. Okay, network setting, and we should put the IP address of the primary domain controller. Properties. Now properties. Okay, and then change the preferred DNS to put the IP of the primary domain controller and the secondary domain controller, and then we will do a small test. Try to ping this server from this ping this server from my WSUS server, and try to make an NS lookup. Okay, it will fail actually because I think I need to flush DNS internally on this server anyway. Need to make sure that I can communicate with the server, and this should be done, or the ping result says that I can reach the server. Okay, so now we'll try to open the run command and open a CMD session. It will be created with administrative rights. We can see here that opens the Windows terminal, which is a good one. Okay, 192.68.79.7. Now we can ping, but when I make an NS lookup, it will fail. I don't know. I think maybe I need to flush the DNS. So I give it the name of the server. It should reply, but here it says it can't find this server. Anyway, so I try to do this a couple of times, but I think this maybe because I need to flush the DNS anyway. So I have closed, and then I will open the server manager and join this server to the domain, or not open the server manager. I can do this from the system setting. So I can go like system, right click and system, and then tell him to advanced system setting and then change, then go to the domain. You need to type the full domain name, not the NetBIOS name. So I type matrix. This can work in a domain, but here you should give it the full. Okay, he's saying might be a NetBIOS name. In this case, verify that the domain registered with wins, so I don't have wins. Okay, so he doesn't recognize this name. This is the NetBIOS name. Then you should type it in full. Okay, so here is saying if you don't have a wins, do not type the NetBIOS name of the server. You need to type the full domain name, because you have DNS servers. Wins was an old version of DNS. It's not currently in any network, but again we will type the full domain name, which is matrix.internal. Here it will recognize the domain. Okay, and tell OK. Then we need to put the domain admin credentials. We need to put the domain / the username, then the password / karim.raouf. Then we put the password. Okay, welcome to matrix domain, and then OK. OK, close, restart. Then should join the domain. Then in the upcoming video we will install the WSUS server feature on this server and configure it. Okay, a different configuration setting, but here we can see again another crash. So it will be restarted. Now it's applying most of the group policies. Now if we make Control Alt Delete, we can see the time is synced. Then we have the interactive login message. Then I can access the matrix domain. I will type my domain admin account. Then I will access. We will see the different setting. We will see the Active Directory login script applied. We'll see the desktop background applied. A lot of group policies will be applied actually, so we can go further. Here we see this is the Active Directory login script. It will do a couple of things we all know. It will set the time zone and it will set the performance setting, a lot of things. So these are the registry keys that this script runs to do a lot of things we have seen, adding the Arabic keyboard layout, confirming the time zone is Cairo time zone, the language, I set the language or keyboard language, search bar or search box is hidden. We have done this already. The ID log of program is not there. We can copy it from the server and put it there. Anyway, so we can go further here. As we can see here, this is also one of the scripts doing. It gets this PC icon displayed and change this PC text to reflect the computer name. This is an easy way for the administrator to know the computer name without right click and system. Okay. Okay, so you can see another crash. So basically we need to power off, and this is the end of the video. We we'll close the server completely. And the upcoming video, we will begin working on how to install the WSUS server feature on this virtual machine and see the different configuration setting. Hope this video was informative for you all, and thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.